Do I know how to make this? No. Do you know how to make this? Probably.
Sven, can you sit for the people? Can I get an ow ow for the people?
Thank you very much. There you go. That's Sven. Spooky Sunday dinners, spooky Sunday dinners, spooky Sunday dinners. I still can't afford a theme song. We're gonna film with Sven not in the crate this week. I don't know if that's a good idea yet. Hey guys, for those of you that don't know, my name is Johnny Taylor and this is Spooky Sunday Dinners, where every other Sunday, when I'm late, Monday, Thursday, I don't even know what to say anymore. We talk about a true crime case that I just really want to talk about while we make a fairly easy recipe. So if true crime, cooking, and dark humor is your thing, you might want to hit that subscribe button below. Hey guys, we're back. I really like this week's story. And fair warning, I've never made this week's food. It's gonna be a journey, you and me, together.
Hello, beautiful sir. Do you want carrot? Sit. Down. Very nice job, sir. Take carrot. Go to couch with the carrot.
Go to the couch with the carrot, okay? Thank you very much. Okay guys, we're gonna talk about him this week. If you're a wrestling fan like me, you already know where this is going. This week, we are going to talk about the double murder suicide craziness that is the Chris Benoit case, while we make beef stroganoff. Me neither. We're also making our beef stroganoff a little bit different this week. Since I can't eat it, I'm going to make it the way Doug likes it, which happens to be with rice instead of noodles. So yeah, we know who we're talking about, what we're making, which can only mean it's Karen disclaimer time. Hi Karen, you've been quiet lately. Karen disclaimer number 1. These are not professional recipes. I don't have the nutritional facts and they're not even really for nutritional value. It's just what I feel like making that day. If you make this and you don't like it or you mess up and get sick, it's really not my fault. I just said I didn't know what I was doing. Again, not professional, barely mediocre. Karen disclaimer number 2. This is Spooky Sunday Dinners, emphasis on spooky. We talk about true crime, murder, disease, and all messed up stuff, while we sprinkle a nice little bit of comedy on top. That's how I cope with being obsessed with something so very dark. If that offends you in any way, shape, or form, makes you want to pick up a phone to call, text, email, DM me, and letting me know what a terrible person I am, look, Karen, my reindeer loves me, so hop off. Cool, that was easy. Let's go into what we're gonna need this week. As usual, it will always be in the description down below. This is just so you don't get mad at me. Some form of sirloin, which is apparently almost impossible to find in Burbank, California. I went with sirloin tip steak. It was $6, so. Both cream of mushroom soup and beef broth. Worcestershire sauce. Somebody told me that this was pronounced Worcester sauce, and if it is, I want out of the simulation. Sour cream. Fun fact, I've never had this before. Some onion and any rice or really starch of choice. Most people make this with egg noodles. I'm gonna go in with just some really simple white rice this week. Also, our seasonings, super simple. Salt, pepper, garlic powder, and a little dash of paprika. Now, the first thing you're gonna wanna do is either boil your noodles or start making your rice. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it off camera because I know that you know how to make rice. Then we'll jump into who the heck Chris Benoit is. All right, our rice is started, and I feel like you either don't know this case or you do and completely forgot it happened. So, quick refresher. Chris Benoit was born May 21st, 1967 in Montreal. So he's from Canada. He was a Canadian pro wrestler, and he actually grew up in Alberta. And he was a wrestling star from the time he was like 12 years old. And he actually would do this thing where he would come up with like signature wrestling moves. And his first one was called the showstopper hold. And it's how he would like end a fight. So once he began his professional wrestling career in 1985, he was continuously creating these signature moves. And some of the most famous ones for him were the snap suplex, the diving headbutt, please remember that one, and the crippler crossface. Remember that one too. So although he was a bit weird and quiet and some say intense, throughout the course of his 22-year career, people actually really liked him. They loved working with him and they said he was very kind, just, a little different. But aren't we all? He held 22 championships, 2 world championships, and was actually the world heavyweight champion of WrestleMania 20. Now, if you're like me, WrestleMania. Did anyone else grow up with like wrestling and WrestleMania? Let me tell you, I had the wrestling buddies, I had the t-shirts. Comment below your favorite like wrestler of all time, because mine is Stone Cold Steve Austin. All right guys, our next step is gonna be to go ahead and dice that onion. I'm gonna go in with about half of the onion, and then from there, season that sirloin really well with both salt and pepper. All right guys, once our onion is chopped and our sirloin is seasoned well with salt and pepper, I'm just gonna go ahead on a skillet on medium-high heat, throw a dash of vegetable oil in, and get this sirloin nice and cooked. So everything is going really well and Chris Benoit is really liked. That is when on June 25th of 2007, police were called to Benoit's mansion in Georgia. Basically, he was there with his current wife. Her name was Nancy Benoit, and their 7-year-old child. Chris did have 2 older children from a previous marriage that were not in the house at that time. When police got there, they were unable to get into the house and they couldn't jump the fence to get into the yard because there were 2 very large, aggressive German Shepherd like guard dogs, which we will also get into that later. But luckily, their neighbor, who was friends with Nancy and often watched the dogs, actually came over and was like, hey, I'll like jump the fence, I'll put the dogs away, and then I'll open it up for you guys. And she gets over the fence, she puts the dogs away and decides that she's gonna open up the house and do a once around. And that is when this poor woman walks into the house and discovers the body of Chris Benoit's 7-year-old son. He had been strangled and there was a Bible laying next to him. They could see clearly that he actually had been drugged with Xanax, and later we find out that he was strangled using that cripple or crossface move. Police then find the body of Nancy, Chris Benoit's wife. Her limbs were bound and she had been strangled. They could see there was a clear like mark or bruise on her back where Chris had actually put his knee into her back and then used a cord to strangle her. She was wrapped in a towel and a Bible was actually found next to her as well. There's something weird about that to me. Like, I don't know, maybe somebody that's like super religious can help me out, but is that really gonna help what happened? Like, oops, I did it, better put a Bible down? Like, I don't buy it. I don't like it and I don't buy it. Now, the last to be found was actually Chris Benoit himself. He died by suicide using a weight machine. He actually ended up making a noose out of a pull-down machine, and once he had it around his neck, he then let the weight go and ended up being strangled in a sitting position. It is noted that it looked like he tried to inflict as much pain as he possibly could, and there was an open, empty bottle of wine next to him. So it is believed that Benoit actually killed his wife first. There was a history of abuse and drug use in the relationship, and his wife had filed for divorce previously, but they did reconcile and get back together. It's believed to have happened on Friday, June 22nd. It is then believed that he killed his son the next day on the 23rd. Now, there is some conspiracy theory about his son having a genetic mutation or like a genetic disorder that caused Chris Benoit to actually inject his son with human growth hormone. It has not been confirmed in any way and does not show signs of it like having anything to do with what Chris did. All right, guys, once that meat is done, we're gonna go ahead and actually remove it from the heat, let it rest, and then cut it into thin strips. We are also gonna go ahead and drain off any fat that's left in the pan. Once we've removed that meat from the skillet, we're gonna go ahead, use the same one, and throw that half a diced onion back into the skillet. We're gonna make sure that we stir it around until it, gets some color, starts to brown a little bit, and gets super fragrant. After we do that, we're gonna go ahead and add 1 whole can of the cream of mushroom soup, 3/4 cup of our beef broth, and 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, Worcestershire sauce, Worcester sauce, as well as our garlic and our paprika. So what's really interesting that actually led up to these events was on the 23rd, Chris actually texted a friend and co-worker. He let him know that both his wife and son, after they were dead, were actually sick with food poisoning. He was supposed to fly out to Texas for some wrestling thing and said that he was gonna miss his flight, he was gonna take another flight on that Sunday, and there was a lot of back and forth phone calls. But on the last phone call, he actually told that friend, "I love you." The friend said that on all of the phone calls, he was acting very groggy and tired and very slow. And the fact that he said he loved him at the end of the last phone call was really, really out of character for him. Chris also went on to text a couple of other co-workers weird things like the address where the family was and saying that their dogs were in a separate pool house and they were in an enclosed area away from them. Now, when police got to the house to fully investigate it, they did notice there was just an exorbitant amount of pills and opiates and Xanax, as well as steroids in the house. Now, both Chris and his wife were known steroid users, and it was quite a huge controversy because Chris was actually exempt from the rule in place by what was the WWF at the time that banned steroids. And this was because his steroid use years prior was so bad that his body no longer made testosterone on its own. Now, Chris was also known to abuse alcohol and suffer from depression. Now, the original thought with all of this was that they were easy, roid rage. The guy has roid rage. But that didn't really explain everything. He did have some of the classic symptoms, which was the severe paranoia, the dogs in the front yard, and the past history with marital and spouse abuse and things like that. We're gonna go ahead and wait till this comes to a boil, so then we add in that sour cream. So they knew that roid rage didn't make any sense, right? So upon further investigation, they actually find out that Chris Benoit had the brain of an 86-year-old Alzheimer's patient. Remember that move, the diving headbutt? Well, turns out, just like football players, wrestlers have that same concussion rates and everything that happened with them. Think O.J. Simpson. I mean, there was even a story about a fight that Benoit had where him and another man just got in the ring and smashed their heads together until they bled. Another one of Benoit's friends said that he was the only guy that could take a chair shot to the back of the head and it wouldn't even faze him. Further tests showed that Chris Benoit actually had severe CTE, which is chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which is really bad brain damage. He also had brain damage to all 4 lobes of the brain and brain stems. All right, guys, once we get this to a nice boil, we're gonna go ahead and stir in the sour cream to get it ready to add the beef back in. All right, guys, going in with about 1 to 2 tablespoons of sour cream. And once it's nice and creamy with that sour cream, we'll go ahead and drop our slices of meat in. All right guys, that meat goes right back in, and we're gonna go ahead and finish cooking this, making sure it does not come back to a boil. Now, things like CTE can actually cause like severe dementia and behavioral issues. This is something that really wasn't known back then, and wrestlers were messing up their brains and bodies for people's entertainment. It's me. I'm Peoples. And take this severe brain damage and mix it with things wrestlers were doing back then, like alcohol, drug use, and steroids, and it was a complete recipe for disaster. But nobody told these athletes that. What's real fishy is that at the time, WWF did release a statement that said all of that was just speculation and there wasn't any actual proof. What's even more suspicious is that after Chris Benoit, they actually added in some rules to fighting with like, it was like no more headshots, no more blood, it had to be TV, PG, and that's when wrestling got like really, really fake. But you know, they're not connected at all, right? And this upset the wrestling world because even though these guys were like these crazy monsters in the ring, nobody thought that they were gonna be like full-on family annihilators. Like, this is a worst case scenario for this. Nancy and her son were cremated and their ashes are with the family. Chris was also cremated, but it is unknown where his ashes are. All right guys, once we've stirred that meat in, we're gonna go ahead and get ready to plate it over our rice or egg noodles. I know this week's case was like a little bit short and sweet, but I really wanted to like touch on the fact that these athletes with their head injuries, it was a real thing. And these like organizations just really not giving a shit and having them still like beat each other up or play football and tackle each other, or even hockey, like fight until you hit the ground for people's entertainment, is wild to me. Like, this man killed his family because of this. He didn't have any prior like issues with assault and abuse until all of this started happening. And it started happening at such a young age. And think about it. You're hitting your head for 22 years straight all over the world. That's how you get your money and provide for your family and have a mansion with guard dog purebred German shepherds. Like, you're gonna keep doing it. All right guys, and here's our seasoned beef stroganoff over rice. Like, what do you guys think? Did you guys know about this? Were you like obsessed with wrestling when you were little? Because I was. Let me tell you. I really want to hear your guys' opinion on this one because it's short and sweet and random, but yeah, do you think it was, you know, what I think, and it was the whole like concussion thing? Do you think that it was roid rage like other people think? Or do you think he was just a piece of shit family annihilator? Thank you so much for cooking with me this week, and thanks for letting me tell you this insane random story. Be sure to comment below future crimes you want me to cover and recipes you want me to try. Thank you for watching Spooky Sunday Dinners. I am still singing. I still can't afford a theme song. What if people don't like wrestling like I do and none of them are gonna get this story? What if I made the stroganoff wrong? Honestly, a little TMI story. One time on my TV, I saw Stone Cold Steve Austin chug a beer and then pour out 2 more beers in the ring, right? And then he jumped onto the beer and pretended to swim in the beer, right? So when I was little, I was like, oh, that's the coolest thing ever. And one time my mom walked in the living room and caught me like face down in the carpet going for it, and she was like, Johnny Taylor, what are you doing? And I looked up at her confidently, with confidence, and I said, I'm swimming in beer like Stone Cold Steve Austin, Mom. Honestly, I don't think I watched much wrestling after that, now that I'm thinking about it.